Huck Finn, as I like calling you, Blayde to everybody
Yes,
else.
ma'am.
How are
Yeah.
you?
I am doing well, Miss CJ, Miss Liz, and everybody else.
I love the way we have our own names for each other.
Yeah, and look, that is the redneck way, babe. I'm telling you.
Exactly. We
Yeah,
have so embraced
yeah.
it. Right.
Of course. Hey, look, I know everybody thinks being a redneck's a bad thing, but man, being a redneck is the coolest thing in the world, man. Look, hey,
Hold
look.
those thoughts. Hold those thoughts. This is a episode 1 for you, Mr. Blayde. Okay. This is a defining moment in your life. Okay. What do you have for us?
The first one would be when my grandpa said, "Today you're a man." That's the day I quit school. I was 16 years old.
Right. Okay.
So
So no more
my grandpa
education.
too. No more education. I done messed up so much in school. It wasn't no point in going to school. No way. I thought
Right.
I knew everything anyhow. Look, I knew how to count money. I could tell time. I could read a measuring tape. That's all the math I needed. In science, I wasn't going to be no astronaut. Let's face it. I sure wasn't finna go to college, so I
Yeah.
didn't need all that geometry and chemistry and trig whoever, whatever that is.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. I don't think I was very good at any of that stuff either. So, yeah. So
no,
what were you going to do then? You're 16, you're at your grandfather's house, you've quit school,
right,
and
right,
you've been told you have to grow up and start the adult life. What
right,
happened?
right. Well, I thought when I quit school, I was going to be able to smoke dope, drink beer, run the roads, and go skinny dipping all day. But that's a big
Okay.
negative.
Okay. Yeah,
Yeah,
that was
no,
unlikely. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
That was just
Grandpa
in your
said,
dreams.
right. Grandpa said, well, today you're going to be a man. So he took me to a couple of days later, he took me to the courthouse and had me emancipated from my family so I could get paid and get health insurance and life insurance and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
And he took me on the road with him.
Hmm.
And being with my grandpa is the coolest thing. Look, I had the best grandpa in the world, man. He was the coolest dude, man.
And you
I
speak
thought he
so
was
warmly of those times. You really enjoyed those times with
man.
him, didn't you? And you traveled
I did.
everywhere.
Oh, we went everywhere. Well, we worked for a company out of Atlanta, Georgia called Ballard International. And we worked in paper mills and chemical plants doing acid tile mostly, right? So
Right.
we build these big tanks and towers that held chemicals and all these things. So it was an awesome for a kid, man. You know, I was making what $11 and something an hour. you
So,
know,
you were so, and obviously your lifestyle must have been good fun in that you were out and away from home. So, if you were traveling and living elsewhere while you were working on jobs, I'm just guessing that maybe you got to go out a bit, sink a few beers, have a bit of a laugh.
I was grown. I was grown. Yeah, and that's just the way it was. You know what I mean? And that's the way Grandpa treated. I was treated grown from that day forward. You know what I mean?
Wow.
It wasn't no,
So that
yeah,
was
you're no
quite
longer a kid.
liberating then for you, wasn't it? At
Oh yeah,
16,
oh
you're away from
yeah,
home, you're working, you've got your own money, your grandpa sanctions you going out, having an adult life.
oh
Yeah,
yeah, yeah,
yeah.
of course. And look, and most of my money was coming home because my grandma was taking our check. Well, we got per diem. They give us money to be on the road, like $250 a week or something like that. So I was
Mm.
pretty much living off of that. I was living with my grandpa. I wasn't paying no rent. I mean, everything,
Mm.
but wasn't buying no food unless I happened to meet a good looking chick to take out. It just, how all that
Which
goes.
I'm
And
fairly
so
sure you probably did.
I, just imagine, man. I was born and raised in the river swamp. That's the God's honest truth, right?
Yeah, you are. You are
And,
literally the original Huck Finn.
oh yeah, yeah. Oh look, I had, and so I had the best childhood, except for well, we'll leave that alone. But and Grandpa was teaching me a skill for life, right? We was
Mm.
not only did we not only was did he teach me how to lay bricks and blocks and tile, but learn how to weld, you know, hang iron. We learned how to do all them kind of
Right, so
things
you
we
were
had to
getting
do
all
to
these
build it.
skills.
All numerous skills,
Mm.
building scaffold, you know, all of it. You know what I mean? And a whole lot of grunt work.
Mm.
But that was cool too, right? I was with Grandpa. You know, my favorite dude in the whole world, man. I wanted to be just like my grandpa, but
So
I missed that mark by
did
a long shot.
did you go to like a bar in the evening for your dinner and have a few beers with him? How did it work?
Oh, but we was always going out and
Mm.
doing things, right? Especially when we was on the road. I don't know how Grandpa. If you've ever watched a show called American Pickers, it reminds me of my grandpa. Because when we was
Right.
on the road working, if we weren't working, we was going to barn sales and garage sales and these estate sales, and my grandpa was buying this cool stuff. I never did understand it. What the hell he was buying all this stuff for, but he loved doing that stuff, and I just like being with him.
Mm.
You know,
Mm.
my grandpa was the coolest dude, man.
Yeah,
You
and
know,
you speak so warmly about him. And aside, obviously, from your mum, who you have a incredibly close bond with, it seems like your grandpa was like next in line, as it were.
oh, he was the male figure in my life. You know what I
Mm.
mean? And he's the one that raised us how to be men. You know, and he taught us first. You know, you be good to people and you be kind to people,
Mm.
and but you know you don't show no fear either. You know,
Mm.
so my grandpa raised us up to be. I think I'm the only one in the family that missed the mark, but all the rest of the fellas in the family grew up to be welders and crane operators. And
Yeah.
Uncle Frank travels, still traveling all over the world. Him and his son, you know, doing the same thing. So,
Mm.
but somewhere along the way, I just thought I wanted to be an outlaw, you know, and bad idea.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, let's not go to that because perhaps that's another
No,
sort of defining moment. So, um, but in a sense, your childhood had kind of been so outdoorsy, hadn't it? You were always going to spend
oh
your
yeah,
life really working outside. Tell people
oh
about, you
sure,
told me about all your abilities to go into the woods and remain and keep yourself alive for days, sort
oh
of like
yeah,
fishing,
sure.
hunting, lighting fires. Tell people about that because that's
Oh yeah.
fascinating.
Well, that's the way we grew up. I
Mm.
grew up in a swamp, right? You know,
Mm.
and at a young age, my grandpa taught us at a very young age how to use firearms, how to be safe, and how to be careful, and all these things. And if you ever left the house, take a roll of toilet paper and a book of matches with you, because you didn't know when you was coming back home. So,
Your laugh is so funny.
but it's the truth, right?
I
Never, you know, it's kind of like American Express. Always take a roll of toilet paper with you, son. You don't never know when you're
You
going to
never
need it.
know. You never know. So, I mean, if you were hunting and fishing, so what were you catching that kept you alive? What were you catching, cooking, and eating?
You know, you know, we may be out there, you know, all day and into the night, and a lot of times we camped on the sandbar. We just hung out and hello, darling, how you doing today? And so, you know, you shoot a couple of squirrels, you know, build a fire, stick them on a stick, and you know,
Mm.
ain't nothing better than a squirrel cooked over a fire, man. It's just that's the best tasting thing in the world, man. You know,
Squirrel.
or squirrel, birds, a rat. It wouldn't make me no different. But you know,
Oh,
catching fish, where we from, we set a bunch of trot lines. You know, we was always trot lining, and you know, there was a boat here, there was a boat yonder. You know, just really. So we'd go back behind my Aunt Elizabeth's old place back there, where there's a big dead lake. There's a big dead lake where we had a camp, the river probably wasn't 50, maybe 50 yards across a slough over there. So we always had trot lines and boats and things. You just,
Right.
hey, look, when we left the house, Mama and everybody knew we was gonna be all right because we was raised to take care of ourselves.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know,
yeah, totally
so
self-sufficient. None of that nonsense of ringing your kid every half an hour on their mobile to see where they are.
uh, look, trust me, we were not sitting in the house eating tater chips and playing video games.
I
And
know. I know.
Donkey Kong, you know, Donkey Kong used to whoop my ass. I never could figure it out. You know,
Part
but
of
and
your
we
sort of
was
whole
smart.
outdoor lifestyle has actually been able to remain, hasn't it, at Parchment? Because you should tell everybody about your garden and all the work you've done and your planting veg and all the rest of it. Talk about that.
Oh yeah. Well, when we was over at 29, it was pretty hard, man, because we couldn't actually get the stuff we needed to make a
Yeah.
garden. So we used hoes and shovels to break up the ground and to row it up and and the first year Miss Joanne, she brought us a bunch of plants, peppers and all these things we needed. And so we saved a bunch of the fruit, the seeds out of the fruit to plant the next year
Mm,
because I was taught how to do that.
yeah.
You
Yeah.
save this and plant it next year.
Yeah, exactly. Put them on like
So
kitchen paper, a bit of water.
right,
Mm.
yep, and just save them, keep them dry, keep them cool, and then plant them the next year. So we had but it was rough work over, especially like the flower garden out
Mm.
front. You should have seen me out there, man, with a root trying to dig all the grass up, and but I got it done.
Mm.
And so we had a flower garden in front of the building, and I took care of it. It was pretty. I think it was a pretty nice flower garden. But a wonderful lady named Officer Short, she brought the flower plants in, and me and her we just took care of that.
Mm.
And so was just a crazy thing because when I was in high school, after school I'd work in a flower nursery where they planted flowers. I hated that job, man. I hated the smell of it. I hated planting flowers, but when I come to prison, along with Miss Short, I discovered that I kind of enjoyed it, which is a crazy thing. I know
Yeah,
that's not a manly deal, but I realized this.
flowers, I just think flowers are lovely because, they
Yeah,
suddenly come into flower, literally, and you get to enjoy
right,
months and months of your hard work.
right,
So, yeah, yeah,
right.
it's very
And what I've
satisfying.
discovered, what I've discovered, what I discovered was that it kept me off drugs. It gave me
Mm,
something, a purpose to.
yeah.
It gave me something to look forward to every day. And it was real nice just to be out there, man, just pulling grass and a plucking and a doing. And Miss Short taught me how to prune them so they get all bushy and pretty and all these things.
Mm,
And was I
yeah.
used to think when I'd read a book, I'd read these books about dudes planting gardens, and I was always thinking, man, there's some weird dudes. Well, I'm with a dude because when I come up, dudes didn't do the flower gardening, the ladies did, right? So, but I've discovered it's a great way to be in communication with God Himself.
It,
Just being out there in
yeah.
something that's nature and being where
Yeah, the sky above, the grass under your feet, something very therapeutic about turning soil and sort of creating something new, planting something and waiting
right,
for it to grow. Yeah,
right.
yeah,
And to anybody listening to this, please go outside, take your shoes and your socks off, and put your feet in the dirt. You
yeah,
got to get barefooted to do
yeah,
this. You know,
absolutely.
it's just
Yeah,
to me it makes you feel like a human being.
yeah,
I mean, just to
I
have your toes
totally
in the
agree.
dirt.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
totally agree. Yeah, I love being outside barefoot. When, obviously we have limited months for that. Where you are, you have lots of months for that. But
right.
yeah, it's very grounding and it feels very
It
cleansing and
is.
it makes you have a peaceful, sort of happy head on you for the day.
Yeah.
Mm.
Well, it makes you feel like you're connected to the earth. To me,
Mm,
it does.
mm,
And if you think about the way we was created from the dirt. So I guess it's all makes sense, you know.
And
Yeah, it's very
you
ground.
know, it strikes me as well, Blayde, that in so many ways, you sort of growing these flowers and growing these sort of fruits and veg has sprouted and germinated other ideas because now you write too. And not only do you write poetry and short stories, but you write song lyrics and you write songs. So there's so much creativity for you has come out of this.
I think so, you know,
Mm,
and I think that comes from the commissioner and the superintendent we have now. Whenever they
yeah,
open it up and say, "Hey, you know, we know what y'all sentenced to. We get that,
yeah,
but you don't have to die every day." You know, the
yeah.
superintendent said you may be sentenced to death, but you don't have to die in a cell every day.
Yeah,
He took a
yeah,
risk on
and
us,
so
you
much
know.
respect we must say to Commander Burl Kane and to the chief superintendent,
Oh,
Mr. McClure. Yeah, I mean respect. They've done wonders
awesome dude.
with turning this
And,
place
you
around.
and then they started letting like Miss Allison and these people come in to give us
Mm,
writing classes, a book club, and all these things to be a part of. And they, me and Devin and me and Marlon Howell, we were the first three to get our GEDs.
yeah,
When they started letting us get the
yeah,
GED program, which was crazy, man. Because listen to me, they did not have that shit when I was in school. What was in that book?
yeah. I tell you what, I am so glad you did that. I really am. To get your
Yeah,
school certificate. Brilliant.
yeah.
Proud of you, Blayde.
You know, well, thank you, ma'am. And I did that. I did that for my mama because everybody was telling my mama how sorry I was. And yeah, you can just imagine the things she heard. But now she can go back and say, "Look what Blade's doing," and
Mm.
makes my mama proud. And
Yeah, no,
I
you
did.
have been accountable, responsible, and you've really moved your life ahead. And honestly, I am so proud of you. I really am. I really am.
Well, thank you, ma'am. But
And
I wouldn't be where I am right now today if it weren't for people like you and Miss Allison and my
mm,
mama. People to actually say, "Hey, you can be something better," right?
yeah,
Because for what 26 years I
mm.
was crammed in a cell and treated. You know how we was done back then. We treated
Oh,
like animals and yada
23
yada
hours a
yada yada.
day locked up.
But
Yeah.
right, but for people to come in and say, "Hey, look, we're going to take a chance on you, and
Mm,
we know you can be better,"
mm.
and the encouragement that comes from y'all is and thank God in heaven for
Well,
having mercy and not letting me die and go to hell.
I think you've done wonders, Blayde, and we will pause this here. Hang around because we'll have a chat. But we'll pause this one here and thank you for talking. That's your episode 1.
Thank you, darling, and thank the people listening for being awesome people.
Perfect. Thank you.